And here, hello, welcome, Karan. I hope I pronunciate your name correctly. I'm not
Yeah,
good with names.
yeah, that's correct.
Uh,
Thank you for having me here. How's it
Welcome.
going?
Take your time.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'll keep it brief and like keep most of the time for questions. So my GSoC journey was back, I think 8 years back. I got into it, and so I did a bunch of software programming, and between I think the third year of my college, I just wanted to do open source. I came across Rocket.Chat, contributed, got in. Uh, Eventually, in the second year, became a mentor for GSoC inside Rocket.Chat, and eventually worked with a company that maintained the fork of Rocket.Chat for a few more years. So it was an extended journey, and that shaped even like global exposure to the point where I was going to go to US and work for that company before COVID hit. So yeah, that was like the whole journey for Rocket.Chat. Uh, and after that, I've been working at startups, started my own company, and basically those connections, those skill set that I learned while working, on my GSoC uh, led to a lot of successes in my life that I can point down to, just doing those things. So it's a great opportunity that you guys are here. And some tips on like how to get in, and like one of the things that I did was pick up the hardest problem from the issues that the team has been struggling in to put in for a year or year and a half. For at my time, I remember it to be audio and coding. That was something that was preventing them from checking in audio messages, and I checked that in. So that is one of the strategies, instead of just like counting the number of PRs or doing too many things, you can just go after one deep issue and try and solve it. That really matters to the team. So I'll stop there and take questions from the audience about anything that you want to know. No questions.
I had a question. I skipped a little bit of what you had said. So, if I understand correctly, you mentioned about getting the opportunity to work at the Google office for your GSOC. Is that correct?
No, it was I did my GSoC with Rocket.Chat. I became a contributor in Rocket.Chat, eventually a mentor.
Okay.
There was a company called Viasat that maintained the fork of Rocket.Chat. So I got opportunity, like I got a full-time job offer from them, and I remotely
Ah,
worked for like 1.5 years for them.
I see. So, like, because they maintained the fork of it, and you already were a contributor of the open source project, so it made like a natural career progression that
Yeah,
they were able to pick you up. Okay, okay, that explains it.
yeah,
So, I wanted to ask, in this regard, also let me turn on the camera. Um,
like,
is that um, like based on your experience, like you had said that 8 years has passed into your open source contribution on the whole. Um, with the rise of LLMs, I definitely see that um, I am someone who I'm talking through my personal experience. I start everything JavaScript, and then once I decide, okay, this is working, I then progress to TypeScript and going through all the monorepositories. So that's thanks to LLMs that makes me progress really quickly because I kind of pride myself. I have been doing JavaScript for like since I was a kid, actually. I do not know how I did it, but I did it. Again, that's just a personal story. My main question to you is that 8 years before and today, how much of a change have you seen in open source contribution in, as an entire? If you could answer that.
okay. I think there's been a lot of change in terms of programming because you specifically mentioned LLMs, and if you want me to answer that, like probably every one of us like uses LLMs, cloud, or whatever tools that we're using, and based on that, programming itself has changed a lot. So the word or the language barrier, as you mentioned, that we used to do everything in JavaScript. Now you can go and code in any language, and you don't have to just like learn a language just necessarily to code in it. So I'd say the learning curve or the efforts needed to get started has lowered down by a lot.
Got it. Actually, I wouldn't exactly say that. Um, for me, again, personally, like it helps to explain from a personal perspective. TypeScript is something that uh, is quite shocking that Microsoft have come up with it because I have seen, particularly in the tech industry, how Microsoft used to be a closed wall, and they started embracing open source. And TypeScript was perhaps the best thing to happen. It's just that when I want to test something really small, like a modular part of it, I just don't think of installing a huge repo like a React or Babel or anything like a transpiler. Like, because I know my core JavaScript skills, I just test it out using like maybe Chrome or any latest browser, and you can understand like the thought process that goes behind it. But again, those who definitely do have a language barrier in understanding and they're comfortable with one language, I definitely see how LLMs help to get started really quickly with the different language.
I didn't get the question, so it's like a long statement. What's the question?
Yes, sorry. So I'm coming to the main question. So very recently, we develop in VS Code, especially for Rocket.Chat, and Copilot has been introduced to everyone for free. So now everyone can actually go to the entire repo without having to brainstorm through. I wanted to know your thoughts about that. Does that make the developers efficient, especially the ones who are going to contribute to it, Rocket.Chat for the very first time? Those who are absolutely new people, would LLM help them or will it hurt them? That's what my question.
I think it obviously helps them like get started. Over reliance on it might hurt at some point. You should just verify what it's writing and understand the code that it has churned out. But in terms of like getting access to like where what is happening and what are different files that it is touching and everything, it should definitely help. Like in general, in terms of programming.
Yeah, got it.
Also take up other questions that are in the chat. So if most of the issues are closed and you want to issue hunt, so I'd say like go one step beyond and think in terms of product. Just ask the company and see on its roadmap like, hey, what product features does it want to see coming up next, and try to do whatever you can. If you can implement like a small feature, I think that covers more than any issue that you can solve. So ask if the tech guys are busy, message the product people and ask like, hey, what is something that you wanted in the next release, but it's not happening? Maybe it's getting pushed over to the next or the next release. The company has a roadmap, so just like try to bang on those things. Cool. Yeah, I've been in crypto and AI, and if you want to reach out regarding anything or even starting up at some point, feel free to reach out to me. I've been part of IC as well as Alliance for Crypto, if you guys have heard of it. So yeah, happy to help any fellow contributors. Anything else you guys want to ask?
More questions, and by the way, we are going to jump into another community hangout, so this is the time for everyone to ask questions, and Karen and everyone else here can answer as well. I believe there is one question on the chat here.
Yeah.
Is there anything open source that you are working on right now, Karen?
Not right now. The thing that we're building is closed source right now, but at some point we might open source it. So what we're building is basically indexing blockchain data and making sense of it. So right now you have raw events and raw blockchain data, and you can convert it to what activities different wallets are doing. Our implementation right now is closed source, but at some point we might open source.
I have one other question, nothing to do with GSoC, but as Devanshu has pointed out that you are a co-founder, I wanted to ask about some of your journey as a co-founder, or maybe even as a founder. How perilous, quote unquote, is this journey, and how would you say it's like the journey is worth it? If you could illustrate a little bit about about that side of it.
Okay. I think it's definitely hard. Like takes a lot of sacrifice on different levels, but it's also very exciting at the same time. So if you are interested in what you're doing and if you want to solve hard problems, one thing specifically for me was like I didn't like working for someone else. I always wanted to work for myself and do things my way. So it really helps. So in today's environment with all the resources that you guys have, it's probably one of the good things. And again, like in order for shaping myself from that, like my Rocket.Chat GSoC experience really helped in that because initially I learned how to be part of a team, how to write proposals, and eventually leading up to when I was managing things, and just like getting those experience in short 2 to 3 years was really valuable in terms of how to build a tech team and manage it and do things.
Yeah, that is really insightful. One last question that I would have is that personally, uh, I do have a CS degree. I have never worked in an IT based company, so GSoC is one of my many forays into getting my portfolio up and running.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is that maybe there had been a lot of like startup booms, especially in India, but what would you suggest that I would rather contribute to open source and gain those skills and first pursue a career in order to understand my place as an IT developer, then think of some noble concept that will cause a startup? What would be your take on that?
Sorry,
Is my question.
the question is between like you can either contribute to the GSoC and learn something, and what's the second option if you want to start out?
Yes, no. So I'm saying GSoC is my way to develop a portfolio because I want to shift from a non-IT, like I'm a graphics designer with a little bit of front-end experience, to somewhere full stack. All right. My question is, uh, for you to decide that okay, I want to become a founder. How many years did you think of IT experience did you require to decide? Yes, I can handle the 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 challenge.
Okay.
Is my question.
It really depends if you want to be a technical or a non-technical founder. If you want to be a technical founder, I think at least a couple of years of experience is definitely necessary for you to have. And if you're okay with being a non-technical founder, I think you can start right away and just like you'll have to depend on a technical co-founder. So if the answer you're looking for is like if you want to independently start a company without a technical co-founder, or you want to be one, I think at least 2 to 3 years of I would recommend 2 to 3 years of experience across like open source and then working for an early stage startup.
Got it. That's really insightful. And most of the questions that I'm asking is kind of like your personal takes because I have a couple of friends that I personally got to network with through my LM journey, and one of them actually is from Kolkata, actually, where I'm from, and he's a really close friend of mine, and he's living this founder's life. So I know all too well about what the perilous journey is, but it's also really exciting, and I hope like all founders that are pursuing their pursuit basically, they get the success that they are aiming for. So I also wish the same for you. So thank you for the answer.
Thank you so much. And yeah, Rocket.Chat is one of the startups I look forward to seeing. It's been doing great from lots of years. So yeah, it also is a startup, and you're doing actually two in one. You're doing a GSoC project as well as you should get insight into what it is doing as a startup and how it works. So that also is great.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So we can close.
Any other questions? Any other contributions here? No? Devanshu, our robot.
Yeah, I do have a question for Karan. It is like I know you are one of those community contributors that have been with us for pretty long. You always get the chance for like contributing to alumni summit, and you try to contribute in whatever way you can right now. So, what is the secret behind getting contributors interested and ongoing in the project after GSoC? Like we usually get people at like we do have workshops and just after the GSoC proposal time ends or GSoC ends, like many of them just vanish in the thin air.
Um, I think for me it was like part of both, like personal touch. I think I yeah, at a point I was like good friends with Singli, and we used to chat, and that's one. And second was so that was I think the major one that kept me going, and that basically there's a personal history there, and it played a good part in my life about how it changed. So I think that is good. And second is like incentivizing people to work, just like creating some sort of financial incentives definitely helps. Because I think kept me going for a couple of years, and then I made friends and everything, and now it's like a good part of my life that was. So I placed in DShaw like right after college, and it was the highest domestic placement in India. I left that to work for a year on YSAT, which was contributing to Rocket.Chat. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Thanks so much for sharing your
So
insights on this one. Really appreciate it.
thank you. Have a good one.